Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol and welcome to Bruntingthorpe Airfield and the Mini JCW DT Edition. She's a looker, isn't she? Yes, it is a very, very chilly day here at Bruntingthorpe Proving Ground. I've been invited here today by Bimmerdeals, who are teaming up with Deutsch Tech and LuxeWerx to bring you the 2020 DT Edition Mini JCW, a bespoke handling, sound and styling package that can be attached to any brand new Mini JCW ordered through Bimmerdeals. The DT Edition sits on 30mm Eibach lowering springs, both front and rear, and has 15mm TPI spacers. A four-wheel KDS laser wheel alignment and tracking setup adds to the handling feel, with extra stiffness up front coming courtesy of an ultra-racing front strut brace. The DT Edition sounds pretty epic too, thanks to a custom Deutsch Tech rear exhaust. And the styling part of the package includes an AC Schnitzer front splitter, DT Edition gel boot badge, Bonnet scoop blackout decal individually numbered. This particular car is DT Edition 001, and a LuxeWerx Beltline blackout decal pack with front bumper and side scuttle decals. Transportation from the dealership to Deutsch Tech will be provided by Veloce Vehicle Transportation. So quite a lot to talk through, I know, but I want to start at the front because what I love about this car, I think the Mini from the front looks really cool anyway, but it just has this extra level of interest and aggression. The other reason why I love this car is it's quite interesting for me, with me having the GP3 or the JCW GP as it's called on order. This is quite an interesting proposition because it takes a standard JCW hatch, which is a great car anyway, and just makes it better. So better handling, better noise, and better looks. So from the front, first thing to note that all of the DT Edition cars are going to be numbered. This is DT 001. I don't think they're going to be selling this one, so basically you can get one from DT 002 onwards. The AC Schnitzer splitter at the front, I just think makes the car look fantastic from the front end. But it's the side profile for me that makes this car really, really look cool. So let's have a wander around the side. So yeah, from the side, the thing I like, so the car has Eibach springs all round and it's been lowered by 30mm. And what that does is just reduce that wheel arch gap, just enough to make the car look squat and ready, but not too much to compromise the ride quality and just give it a crashy, horrible ride. It's also on 15mm spacers, so that just pulls the wheels out into the wheel arch a little bit. It just, for me, makes the car look squat and ready, and I like that very, very much. And then round the back, we've got some extra noise. So yeah, at the back, as mentioned, we've got a custom OPF filter back DeutschTech exhaust system. It's basically a straight through, so it's just going to make the car sound that little bit more aggressive and more up for it. And then the final thing to take a look at, which you've mentioned already, is to pop the bonnet and have a look at the strut brace. So yep, under here, we've basically got the strut brace. Now, the other thing to mention is everything under the bonnet in terms of the engine is completely standard. And the reason is basically warranty. So there's been no tuning, no changing of air filters, nothing. It's a completely stock engine, so stock performance figures in terms of acceleration and power and so on. I think we should take this and give it a bit of a thrashing. And what I've also got, by comparison, is access to a standard JCW hatch. So let's jump in the car and go for a spin, shall we? Okay, so off we go. Now the cool thing, we're at Bruntingthorpe Proving Ground. The last time I drove down this particular bit of tarmac, I was in a Caterham 620R doing 160 miles an hour. First thing to say about the car, as I've mentioned already, is there are no performance tweaks in this car. So it's a completely stock engine, and you get a complete normal Mini warranty. All of the tweaks are about handling and noise. First thing to say about the exhaust is what I like about it is it's not in your face noisy. It just has a really nice tone on throttle, and it just sounds really, really spot on for me. There's a few little pops and burbles as well, and that's been done very, very subtly. I like that. Because the challenge with most modern cars with OPF filters is they've just completely killed all of the kind of noise and the drama that you get. Standard BMW Mini inside, but it's when you get to a corner that things are going to happen. Now, on a runway, this tough surface isn't brilliant, but straight away you can feel that the suspension isn't too harsh or too crashy. Even though it's been lowered 30mm, it has a really nice ride height and ride comfort. But it's when you get to a corner, that strut brace, the suspension, the slightly wider stance of the wheels, that's when I think I'm going to start to notice a difference. So, great thing about being at a proving ground is I have no speed limits today whatsoever, and I can even tell you what the speed is if you can't spot it through the camera. So that's 60 miles an hour, and it's nice and flat. It really does have a nice feel to it, actually. The JCW's no slouch, so you've got plenty of go out of the corners, and a really nice feel to the car. The brakes are always great on it. Yes, so you can now, and what a high-speed corner. It's just so flat. Oh wow, that is very, very cool. It's a little sort of chicane here, so let's just chuck it through here at reasonably high speed. Tiny bit of understeer, tiny bit of traction control, flat out now, come on baby. 100 miles an hour, 115 up into fifth, 120 miles an hour. We're going to take the right here through this little sort of chicane section, on the brakes, braking down, nice progressive braking. And then we can just chuck it in here. It's a nice little right, left. Oh mate, that, I have to say, that is really, really very impressive. Yes, I'm gonna have to go and do that again. There's also a geometry setup on this, so it just gives it that kind of sporty edge. It's got really nice feel to it. It's not too darty. What I find with my Roadster is I've got a very aggressive suspension geometry on my Roadster, and the front end is incredibly darty. This is a little bit more progressive. Those who know Bruntingthorpe, it's the exciting bit, this bit that's the good fun bit, where you go around corners. So you got your auto rev matching in this, so I don't need to be heel and towing. But yeah, that when you just... So there's no upgrades to things like diff or clutch in this. It's not really needed. It's pure handling, and it's just got such good high-speed manners. That's 90 miles an hour through there. And then again in here. Oh wow. Getting through this little chicane here. Really good on the brakes, really good on the brakes. And then a little bit of traction coming on. It's a quick little car, this. A quick little car. What are we doing now? There's 120 up into fifth gear. A little bit later on the brakes now. 130, so on the brakes, down into fourth, down into third. We go through this little chicane section here. It's very, very cool indeed. Just from right to left. Oh yes. Yep. the other really great thing about this car is it's got a manual gearbox. Nice 6-speed manual, auto rev match. Oh man, I had a feeling that today might be quite thought-provoking for me. Now, what I think we now need to do, apart from the fact I'm going to have to go through the corners again, is I have access to a standard JCW hatch. So it'll have the same power, same straight line performance, but just to see it going through the corners will be quite interesting to see if that slightly higher ride height, obviously the standard springs, standard geometry, and no strut brace on the front, whether or not that will change the feeling of the car. So let's head back and swap over. The DT Edition package is priced at £3,000 RRP, including fitting and labour, and can be attached to any brand new Mini JCW ordered through Bimmerdeals. Example finance would be £2,250 deposit and £299 per month for 48 months on a PCP with an 8,000 mile per annum limit. This price is based on a base specification car, but would look the same from the outside as DT Edition 001. Okay, so here we are now out in a standard JCW hatch. Beautiful rebel green one. I've got a big thing for rebel green minis, as I've got my JCW Clubman long-termer is rebel green with a red roof. So in a straight line, this car feels no different really. Power is exactly the same. I guess the main thing is it's just got a slightly more body roll. Even just doing that side to side just has a very, very different feel, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be when we get to the corners that I'm really going to notice the difference. So down in a straight line, no difference whatsoever. Noise-wise, noticeably quieter. I am in sport mode, but you know, you've not got a huge amount of throat to the exhaust of a standard JCW. Clearly I spent a long time in one of these when I drove to Turin. What a trip that was. So here we go, we're coming up to a corner. Now what I don't want to do is go Yahoo into this, thinking I'm in the DT Edition and then realising it's not quite the same. Now straight away the difference is the amount of body roll. It still feels pretty planted in the corner, but I've just got far more body roll, and I can actually just feel and just hear the tyres slightly just starting to want for a bit of grip. Noticeably different. And what's really interesting, let's just concentrate going around this corner. Yeah, loads more body roll. I mean, the front end's still pretty sticky, but the car's just rolling and wanting to kind of push out of the corner slightly. Just see what it's like flicking through this little chicane. So it's that weight transfer there, yeah. But it's not bad at all. The standard JCW is by no means a poorly handling car. So to take one of these and make it better is quite an ask actually. But you just feel more body roll, and what you're not getting is the compromise of ride comfort in the DT Edition, because the ride comfort doesn't feel that much different to this. Let's just go through this high-speed sort of chicane section and see how that feels. I'm not pushing the car as hard as the DT because it's a private owner's car that's let me play with it basically. Let's put it into third and then just through here. Yeah, you've just got a lot more body roll. Deals with the power coming out the corners really nicely. When I came today, and I was just wondering just how different a feeling car it would be. Now, I've got coilovers and lowered suspension and you know, a fairly harsh, crashy Mini, and I thought, I wonder if it's going to be like that. And what I like about the DT Edition is it's lowered, it's got the stance, it's got the spacers, but it's still got the kind of grown-up ride. I think the ride of my Mini is just that little bit harsh for someone who's not a real enthusiast. So that's the clever trick that's been played. Handling's better stance, much lower wheel arch gap, but you've not got a compromised ride and driving experience. very cool. Yeah, I like rough minis. I just love minis. I really do. So let's go back and I'll give you my final thoughts on the DT Edition and what else is going on in my head right now, because it's really quite confusing for me. So there you go. What an interesting comparison. I must say that the changes made on this DT Edition are really very clever. The things I love the most, just the lowered stance, that 30mm lowered stance, 15mm spacers, just give the car a squat, more aggressive stance. The exhaust is interesting. It's far louder on the outside. The cabin kind of just deadens that a little bit, but far better than the stock JCW. But the thing for me, the most impressive thing, is how flat this car is in the corners without compromising the handling. Really interesting. So yeah, I'll put all the detail below. This DT Edition is available now. I'll put the details of the finance in the bottom as well. But I have to say huge thanks for the invite today, for coming along and trying out this car. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have done so, please give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol for plenty more content to come. I'm now going to go away and think, do I buy a Mini GP3 or one of them?